I've been kind of just working through like letting go a lot of stuff, choosing my focus on like what really matters. I've stopped drinking alcohol. I've stopped smoking weed currently at this point, and I'm just trying to let go of things to like get to like where I'm trying to go in life. And like it's not easy, like a lot of these things help me get this far. Like a lot of highs and lows, like drinking or smoking or substances from like a very early age like help me get through the darkest times. But like if I want to get to my goals and do what I feel is needed, that's required from me, I have to let go of things that hold me back or might be a benefit in this way, but then overall it's a hindrance to me. And right now I'm just on this path of like getting focused.
Welcome back to Self Revelations. It's your boy B-Dab.
And I'm Juan Moreno.
Welcome back to the most organic podcast in the world. My boy Wanavelli, how you been feeling? It's been a minute. How's everything been going?
I've been doing good, man. Just, that constant self-improvement, going through like the struggles, constantly just trying to improve. Like, damn, sometimes I think about it's like a lonely road. Sometimes, like, being in the road of like forgiveness, being in the road of like letting things go. Like, when I went golfing, I didn't even tell you this too. I lost my $400 watch.
What?
I lost it. Yeah. I had like put it in my bag, and like we were on the golf cart, and we were like it was a super long like golf course, and there was like a lot of bumps, and I didn't realize I didn't close it all the way, and so that watch fell out. And it was funny because when I lost the watch, I didn't realize it till the end, and I had got that watch based off of a promotion that I got from my current job, and honestly I didn't give a damn about it. I was just kind of like, oh, it's gone now. Like I'm not gonna sit here and like try to go all the way back and try to look for it. I wasn't gonna like be upset about it. I wasn't gonna be mad at myself or something. I was just kind of like, it is what it is. The people that I was with, they were more upset than I was. I wasn't even upset, actually. I just let it go instantly. I don't know. I just got to a certain point where I'm just like, man, it is what it is. Like, I mean, this little watch that I lost, like, I'm already looking to upgrade to the next watch. So I was like, I think it was just meant for me to lose it. If whoever finds it is going to be a gift to them, because it's a nice watch. So I was like, whoever finds that watch is going to come up, and I don't know. I'm just trying to let go of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can only stress about so much stuff, and you can only have so much desires. You know what I'm saying? Like, desires are the reason why a lot of people sometimes aren't happy. Like, you have a lot of good things going on in your life. Like, you can breathe, you can walk, your family's still intact, all that stuff. You got a job, you're making money, and you have to be conscious of like what you choose to care about. So like for me, like materialistic stuff is replaceable. I could get that same watch brand new, buy it again, but I try not to hold like value into things now, because that's not really important. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm in a deathbed, or I get the worst news in the world, or I find out I only have so much time to live, you think I'm gonna give a damn about that watch? And so I kind of let it go. But like that was just kind of like an explanation of like kind of like I've been kind of just working through like letting go a lot of stuff, choosing my focus on like what really matters. I've stopped drinking alcohol. I've stopped smoking weed currently at this point, and I'm just trying to let go of things to like get to like where I'm trying to go in life. And like it's not easy, like a lot of these things help me get this far. Like a lot of highs and lows, like drinking or smoking or substances from like a very early age like help me get through the darkest times. But like if I want to get to my goals and do what I feel is needed, that's required from me, I have to let go of things that hold me back or might be a benefit in this way, but then overall it's a hindrance to me. And right now I'm just on this path of like getting focused, like being sober. Like I remember listening to like Nipsey Hussle, listening to like certain like artists or creative people or even business minded people. Like they all say like, you gotta let go of your habits and stuff. Like I know Nipsey Hussle said in one song, he was like in order to grow, I had to let go of some habits. And like I that's 100% true. Like if you want to get where you want to go, you have to let go of things that maybe hold you back a little bit, whether if it's a person, whether it's a thing, whether it's an idea, whether it's a possession, whether it's some type of substance. You know, you gotta let go of that shit to grow. So to cut it short, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know, with a lot of people, those type of things can ruin someone's week or weekend or whatever it may be, because you lose your watch. It could be your favorite watch, whatever it may be. But that detachment from materialistic things, that mindset of, okay, I lost my watch. It is what it is. I'm gonna keep going with my day, and I'll get another one. That's a good mindset to have, because there's nothing you can do. You can backtrack and not find it, because somebody most likely will pick it up and move on. So, and that can apply to a lot of things in life. People lose cars, jewelry, people out of their life, family members, lose a relationship, lose their woman, lose their man, whatever it may be. But, you can sit there and dwell as much as you want. It's easy to complain. It's easy to get down on yourself. You can go on the news, you can turn on IG and look for hours about things that can bring you down, but at the end of the day, like, your perception from everything can make or break you. So having that mindset and pushing yourself in different ways to get out of your comfort can be the difference between you reaching your highest form of yourself and not reaching that level, So, I commend you for that, because, at that point, I feel like I could have been bothered by that. Like, if I lose, like, my favorite watch or whatever it may be, but hey, everything is replaceable. All the materialistic things are replaceable.
Mm-hmm. What about you, man? How you been?
I've been good. Just working, working on, my relationship, working on myself a lot, my temperament, my patience, working on my patience, because, like, I'm very short-tempered with certain things and certain people, but, still staying in the grind of everything, working on my body. As like last week, working, and, I was actually at work, and we had just got out of a meeting, and I got the call from a coach to come back and play for the Bay Area Panthers. So in the midst of that, like, my mind was blown, because it's like it happened out of nowhere. And considering they don't have people, they probably have one or two people that came back from the last season, it was an honor for them to, bring me back and play this, past week. It was even more mind-blowing, because it was like I wasn't even thinking about it. It wasn't even in my mind. It was just, I was just stuck in the grind and just stuck into getting into my routine. Okay, work, gym, podcast stuff, and just getting into that flow. It was like, oh shit, this is really happening. So yeah, I work nights. So he had called me and told me that they had practice that next morning at 6 a.m. So it was like, yeah, it happened fast. Like, and then, this profession, it can happen fast. You can be here one day and, San Diego the next week, or across the country. So, I was blessed. I've been praying about it, and, the opportunity presented itself, and, I had to resign from my job and go back out and train with them. So I've been actually staying out in Salinas and commuting to Morgan Hill every day for practice. And, I'm working my way to, try to take a starting spot. And, I'm glad I like this whole time I wasn't just sitting on the couch. I was actually working out, staying active, and preparing myself for, these type of opportunities. So it's been a fast turnaround in this past week, but I'm glad everything is going how it's going.
Yeah, I feel like that's when, like, opportunity meets, like, preparation. Like, I think some people sometimes, like, if it's not something that you love to do or something you've been, like, working towards or want, some people will be like, I can't make it tomorrow, but could I make it the next day because I got work? Like, you don't want it that bad, or you're not hungry enough, or you're not really realizing the opportunity that's in front of you. Like, you got to push it to the side. I mean, like, you resign from your job. Like, you have to sacrifice this 9-to-5 income to the possibility to even, like, get the opportunity. So Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between like the possibility of something that you love to do and taking that chance. Because you could have been like, I mean, I would not expect that from you, but some people like don't see the opportunity. Some people just get caught up in discomfort, like, I kind of like what I'm doing, or I'm good with this. Like, you know what? Maybe not, but like you gotta be like preparing yourself. Like if you're trying to work towards something, you should be day in, day out working towards it, preparing yourself so when the opportunity comes, you're ready. Like for me, I feel like I've done a lot of work that is in the shadows, educating myself, learning, re-engineering myself, rewiring a bunch of things that I've learned, unlearning, to then put me in the position where the opportunity comes, like I won't fold. I'll be ready mentally and, take care of myself, obviously physically and health wise. Like any opportunity that comes, you got to be ready for it. The worst thing is to be not prepared when the opportunity comes, because then you don't know how many opportunities you'll get. So like, I mean, good thing you were ready though.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to what you were saying about losing the watch, in that same sense, with detaching from the materialistic things, I could think logically and be like, okay, if I stay at this job, I can make X amount of dollars. This job, this profession that I'm doing, like football, it's my passion, it's something I love to do. Damn, I'm only making 60% of the money that I would make. But it doesn't matter, because that doesn't feel like work. This feels like work. There's no passion behind what I'm doing for a living. Now, if I go and chase my dreams, you can always make the money back. You can do anything and make the bread back. So I've always been like this, but it's just like I'd rather double down in doing like a passion of mine. You know what I mean? If I'm able to make money playing a sport, bro, like I can't emphasize this enough, bro. It's like surreal. It still hasn't hit me yet. I think it won't hit me until the first game, but being able to be back in that environment and doing it at that level, it's nothing short of a blessing, and I am truly thankful, because God, he blessed me so much up to this point, and my mindset going into this next season and preparing myself, and doing it all without an agent and stuff like that, and getting the opportunity now, it's just everything came full circle. And and I believe in karma. You know what I mean? Like the energy I was putting out, the energy I was putting towards working on my body, running, not drinking like yourself, not drinking, not smoking, and eating, right, not all the time, but eating right, for the most part. It all came full circle and came back to like when I did go out there, I wasn't winded. I was healthy. I'm still strong. A lot of things like came back full circle for me. So it was just a blessing, but it's all a part of the grind.
Yeah, and I say you gotta be ready, and because man, not a lot of chances you get the possibility of doing something that you love to do. Like you gotta sacrifice like time, money, in order like I don't know, if you find if you find yourself in a position where you can do what you want to do and it doesn't feel like work, like it doesn't feel like a clock in clock out thing, like you might not have like the instant gratification of money or whatever or status at this point, but if you work hard enough and you prepare for it, and if God wills it, like you will then get all the stuff that you had to sacrifice for a little bit to then reap the reward. So hell yeah.
Yeah, facts. But that's enough about me. That's enough about us and how we've been doing. I wanted to dive into a topic, a real controversial topic, and something that I feel like that is something that needs to be discussed. So I know we talked a little bit about it before we had started, but interracial relationships, bro. I know you being in an interracial relationship, me being in an interracial relationship. I know in our everyday life, we don't see a problem in it, but in our culture and society, it can be looked at as a negative thing in a lot of ways. And a lot of it is outside talk about your internal relationship or your relationship with your partner. Why do you think that interracial relationships have a bad rap in our society today?
I think people just not really thinking before they speak or thinking before they have like a face expression. I think a lot of people are hypocritical and a lot of people are human. Um, I believe that I think looking at an interracial couple a certain way is, in my mind, kind of like we explained earlier. It's a bit, I feel like, could be almost feeding the same thing of like racism, right? Because when you see, let's say I'm Mexican and I see, let's say I see a Mexican woman with a black man or a white man or whatever other nationality, one thing that doesn't pop up on my mind is actually their race. I never really looked at people that way, and I worked on that, right? I made that decision of not valuing race to the point where I'm biased or it's all about race. Like for me, it's like if you want to end racism, you have to remove race in all ways, right? Like you see things like Black Love, or you see, you know, Mexicans encouraging Mexicans to be with other Mexicans. Like that's one thing, like in the culture too. Like, you know, I've heard stories of like, you know, even myself, like, you know, bringing like a black woman to see meet my grandmother, and my grandmother might had bad experiences with different nationalities, a black person or whatever. Sometimes they, and especially like the people that are around them, feed them negativity of like how just because they're a color of a race, they their bad experience with one person, they look at the whole race like that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you feed that, I think you're still feeding it when you're looking at interracial couples a different way, because I'm sure you experienced it, right? You walk in with your lady that's maybe not the same race as you. You walk into a building, or you're walking down the street, or you're walking at, you know, whatever place. You get these energies of different looks. Like you could just see like almost a disgust in their face, or almost like what are you doing? You should be with the same person as your nationality, or like, you know, what happened to Black Love? Like how come you're not with somebody else who's Mexican? And for me, it's kind of like these are the same people that also want to, like, when something happens, like, right, like police brutality, or, you know, like what happened in San Francisco a couple years back, probably still going on too, like Asians being attacked, and you see all these like proof of like racism, right? These be the same people that like, oh, that's racist, like that shouldn't be tolerated, but then you're looking at me being with another person that's a different race with the same energy. So I feel like that's very hypocritical, because you're also racist as well. Like I believe if you want to end racism, you got to stop looking at things race-based. You should look at two beautiful different types of people. It doesn't matter about the nationality, because at the end of the day, we're human at the end of the day, right? And obviously, like me and you are like faith-based, and I feel like, you know, nowhere, I maybe I'm wrong, but like, you know, like with the Bible, the Quran, like with these different belief systems, I don't see a lot of things concerning race at all in those. It's about love and being respectful and having structure, and, you know, helping your brothers and sisters, like have an understanding of God's message to be the best person you can be. And so when you see people that are like hypocritical and trying to establish this world of not judging people based off of race, but then these be the same people that look at you in a certain way when you're with your girl, or when you're with your man that's a different race. And I understand too, like, you know, some people are caught up in this cycle of their one experience with one person that happened to be black, that happened to be white, that happened to be Mexican, or any other nationality. It gives this idea that all people are like that. It's like if a guy that ends up shooting a school was Christian or Muslim or whatever, you know, we think like the whole religion is bad, or it's a human mistake. It's a human flaw. It's not a religion. It's not a race. It's not an ideology or whatever. It's the person. It's a person thing. It's a human flaw. It's a human mistake. And I feel like, you know, it bugs me, but I don't feed it. You know what I'm saying? I see it in public. You know, I feel it, but I don't want to even give a time of day to those people, because those are the most I believe the most unhappiest people, the ones that judge you based off your color of your skin or judge you because the person that you're with, you don't know our relationship. Just because I'm with another nationality doesn't mean I don't like other nationalities. Me personally, I've been with almost a majority of different like races, all races, like not like all of them, but like, what I'm saying, I have my fair experience with like different types of people, and women, and I never looked at them in a way of like, I'm looking for a black woman, I'm looking for a Mexican woman. I take things at face value. I don't really give a damn about your race, to be honest. Like, who are you as a person, though? I don't care about how much money you make. I don't care about your beliefs to a certain extent. That's not negative, but you have an understanding of your beliefs. As long as we align, then we're good. Your race isn't something that I consider when I'm dating somebody. Why? Because I'm gonna be fearful of what somebody thinks, or what my mom thinks, or what my grandma thinks, or any other person that's not me. They don't dictate my life. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna care about me more than me. So why am I gonna take, somebody's view or opinion or judgment and let it alter my relationship that I have with this beautiful person that I actually enjoy? So yeah, I feel like it's a lot of hypocrites that like view relationships with interracial couples. I think it really says a lot about them than it does you. So you got to make sure you do not let that bother you.
Exactly. And the crazy part about it is like just how you said, like like these basic human flaws and like people looking at things and taking it like, oh well, he's black and he is with someone who is not of the African descent, or someone who's not black, and they must not love some part about them, or it must be a flaw in them if they're willing to do that. And they don't want to look at the facts of like, maybe that person just fell in love with that other person. You know what I'm saying? Love is love. Like if someone has a partner, of the opposite race or of any other race, it shouldn't be looked at as a problem, and that comes within that person. You know what I'm saying? And it's more of it's a choice. If that's the choice you want to make, and you want to date all, you only want to date black men, that's your choice. But don't project your fears and your insecurities and your perception on how you think someone else should love. So if I don't care what race you are, you know what I mean? If you were with someone else and you guys are opposite, like say you're black, she's white, you're white, she's Hispanic, you know what I mean? Love is love at the end of the day. And if y'all work, nobody in the world should be able to tell you that it's wrong. I don't care if your parents don't agree. I don't care if your families can't coexist because of things that have happened from history to they might even have history within your family. They might not like that certain type of demographic of someone else. But at the end of the day, like if you love that person and you see a future with that person, keep going and fight for your person and your love. Because at the end of the day, like even going back to Jesus, like just think about it. Like Jesus didn't sacrifice his life and say, okay, well, I'm only going to sacrifice my life for black people, or I'm only going to sacrifice myself for white people, or I'm only going to preach to Jews, or I'm only going to preach to such and such. No, he preached and loved everybody, and he sacrificed his life so that all of us have a chance of everlasting life. You know what I mean? And he did those things because of the love he had for us first. So why can't we just love one another and accept each other's, choices to spread love? If I want to start a family, with any race of woman, that is my choice, and nobody can tell me different. I don't care what your experience was. I don't care what you think isn't going to work. You know what I mean? It's my choice. And at the end of the day, like, if you can't respect my decision, or if you think it's wrong for me to date outside my race, hey, more power to you. But I know what I want. And my parents instilled that into me at a very young age. They always have told me, you love who you love. Both of my parents obviously are black, but they've always told me at a young age, hey man, like, you know, love has no race. Love has no boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, who you choose to love is who you choose to love at the end of the day. And, you know, they're going to back and support me regardless. And they're going to love me regardless. And that helps set a good foundation in me. And, you know, I've dated all different types of races as well. And I can't say that I regretted any one of them. So, you know, me being in an interracial relationship now, you know, and, you know, being out in public and seeing certain looks and stuff, it doesn't bother me. But I am very observant of it, or like someone look and see me and see my girl walk in and shake their head or roll their eyes. You know, it doesn't bother me because, you know, I'll probably never see those people again, and they don't hold any weight in my life and my decisions.
No, 100%. Like, just to even add on to it, like if it's like a religion thing when it comes to like different beliefs, like that's understandable. Like, but when it comes to like, you know, just a regular like human encounters and you're walking down the street, like, I don't know, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't focus on like, that's why I try not to. I'd never focus on race. I never like, that's not how I move in life, you know. Like, so it's a good thing to just, you know, be aware that if anybody has anything to say about your relationship when it comes to like race or even look, whatever, like this, that says a lot about them.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And, you know, when I think back and think like, dang, where does this stem from? Like, where does this come from? Why is it looked at as a bad thing? Or why is, I shouldn't feel weird bringing, you know, a weird. I'm not saying that in my family that this is a problem, but I'm saying like the average black man, it shouldn't be weird bringing home someone that you consider like, you know, your love or someone that you're pursuing. You bring home a white woman, a Latina woman, Samoan, Polynesian, Asian, like. It shouldn't be weird. You feel what I'm saying? But it all stems from racism. Looking at a certain race or looking at like, oh, no, you need to go and get a black girl, or you need to go and get a white woman, or you need to woo woo. You know, it all stems from a certain form of racism or hate within themselves. So if you're willing to look at someone and say, I don't approve of your relationship because of someone's color, what kind of hate do you have within your heart, and what type of racism do you have that's holding on to you, that you can't allow your, you know, your children, your family members, your friends to do that, you know. And it's sad to see and hear, but it's very, very common where we live, you know. And, you know, it's sad to say, but, you know, these type of things are things that need to be discussed.
100%.
Yeah, but to move on to another topic, I kind of want to get into talking about consent and boundaries in a relationship. A couple of the things that, you know, I was thinking when we started talking about the consent and boundaries is, when is a good time to talk about, you know, consent and boundaries in a relationship? What happens if these things, you know, are played within a relationship or not respected, and how can these things affect, you know, the relationship? And I think consent and boundaries in a relationship, you know, it can make or break you. You know, these things, it's a very touchy subject because these things can be looked at, you know, as, you know, oh, the guy or the girl is insecure, they're controlling, they're this, they're that. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's what you want. You know what I mean? So for you, when do you think is an appropriate time to communicate your boundaries and, you know, in a relationship?
Yeah, I believe like, because what you don't want to do is like have a list or all these requirements of like, if you want to be in a relationship with me, you have to do this, you have to do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's more of like, you take things day by day, face value, situation comes or questions are asked. Or there's that great game that you guys had showed me. What was it called again? Intimacy. That's a great game. There's so many good, deep questions that really has an understanding of that person. And I believe asking questions and kind of like you guys going out to, for a date or a walk and whatever, I think like you discuss your boundaries when they're asked or when they're presented. Like if something occurs where there's something that happens that you don't like and you feel bothered by it, I think that's the time to do it right there. You have to do it right there. You don't do it in public in front of other people, but I think you do it in private, you know, respectfully too. You have to come with the understanding of your boundaries, right? Have to be thought through. Your boundaries, I feel like I said that wrong though. Your boundaries should be based off the understanding of where you're at in this life, your values and principles, and what happens if these boundaries are not established, and where it can go if these boundaries are not communicated because of your experience from the times that you didn't, from the times that you did and how you did it maybe not the best, the wrong timing, the wrong tone, too emotional with your boundaries. You took it too personal. You know, sometimes the other person doesn't know because you didn't communicate it. So I believe it's best to communicate your boundaries right when the time is presented, and your tone and you knowing what you want, right? Like for me, like, you know, I'm a man, clearly, and I am the leader in all relationships I've been in, and definitely way important. It's definitely important now that I've learned from my last relationships that I didn't communicate boundaries, or I didn't stand on it maybe because I didn't know really what I wanted. But at this point in my life, I know clearly what I want. I know clearly what happens if you don't communicate certain things. I know clearly what happens if you let your woman or you let that man do certain things, and if you don't communicate it, it can ruin this relationship and the experience with this person if you don't communicate. So I believe, like, you know, as you go, you communicate those boundaries.
Exactly. And I 100% agree. Like I think that, you know, obviously if you start talking to somebody and then you're like, here's 150 things what I don't like, you know what I mean? It's kind of gonna be like, oh, whoa, like, you know, you're like, we ain't even, you know, met each other's families. We ain't even got a month into talking, you know, and we already at this stage. That's kind of like, you know, that's kind of like a big, like, that's like that's an overload of things. But obviously there's things that you and I know that is obviously disrespectful. If you're pursuing someone and, you know, you're having sex with somebody else, it's kind of like, it's common sense. Some things are common sense, but common sense ain't that common no more, you know? So, but yeah, I 100% agree. But for you, a question that I have for you is, like, why do you think that boundaries is so important in a relationship?
You know, I'm going to answer that one, but I did want to add one more thing. There was one thing I thought about when you were talking too. Also, by the way, your boundaries, right? Like what you want and what you need and what's not tolerated, what's not going to keep this relationship rocking. You got to be worth the person accepting and understanding those boundaries too. So that's why it's good not to like just throw a 150-page essay on like things not to do, because she don't even know if you're worth that. You know what I'm saying? Or as a woman too, is this man worth sacrificing these ideologies that I learned from society, or my girls that are friends, or men that I've been with and that didn't give me the proper guidance on boundaries, or they were passive aggressive. They were with men that bottled things in to the moment that they exploded, and now they feel all this way. But if they would have communicated, it wouldn't got this far. So also too with that is like, you know, you have to be the right person to be worth following those boundaries too. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not, you know, leave. But to answer that one, you say why it was important, right, for the boundaries?
Why is it important to have boundaries in a relationship?
Yeah, I think it's clearly important because, you know, you could find out fast too if this is the person worth being with those boundaries, you know, because some people are caught up in kind of like how I was just explaining, like some people are caught up with what they seen on social media, memes, posts, friends, TV, these false realities and these unrealistic relationships, these perfect relationships that you see on social media, like without establishing boundaries, I feel that this relationship could go anywhere and there's no control. There has to be guidance, there has to be leadership, and as a man, like, you need to have those boundaries in place and make sure that the right woman comes into your life and respects those boundaries. If that woman does not respect those boundaries, I don't care how she looks, I don't care how many followers she has, I don't care what job she has, her status, money. That doesn't matter if you're not willing to respect my boundaries. And my boundaries aren't crazy. I'm not asking you to do something that's not realistic. You know, there's a reason why I have these boundaries, is because, like, an example, right? One example of a boundary would be, I don't want my woman being half naked in public, because, you know, I don't believe you need to go to that extent to show one way of value that you have, which is your looks. I feel that you don't have to dress that way to impress me. And also, are you dressing like that for me, or you're dressing that solely for you and the attention from these other guys or other women and stuff like that? That's also important too, because we could be out in public and you could be dressed in that certain way. You're bringing male attention that's unnecessary too. And some guys don't give a damn. Some guys just want to get knocked the fuck out and like disrespect you and with your lady, you know. And you have to step up as a man and, like, you know, if somebody disrespects your lady because you're dressed in a certain way, you gotta step up. But at the same time too, it's like, for me, it's like, this is why I don't want that attention. I don't want that. I want to have a good evening with my woman. She's dressing modestly and she's looking good too. You could look damn fine with a damn dress on. You don't have to be half naked to look good. So, like, that's an example of one of my boundaries is I don't want the cheeks hanging out. Like, I want the cheeks for myself when I'm at home. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want her showing it all the goods to everybody else. That's not me being insecure. That's just me having a preference. It's a big difference. I don't need you. There's other women that are willing to dress appropriately with a man like me, right? Like, because of the attention it brings, and I'm giving you that value. I'm giving you the praise, and you know, a lot of, when I ask that from women, a lot of women, they confine to that because they know the type of man that I am, and they understand where I'm coming from because I'm able to articulate my boundary and what it can cause. And I don't have time to be dealing with unwanted, you know, attention, and I have to always, you know, every time we're in public, I have to, like, do something. I have to, you know, like, protect, and, like, it gets exhausting. So, like, boundaries are so important. Like, that was just one example, but, like, there's so many things that need to be put in place because you want this relationship to work. So if you want this relationship to work, there needs to be boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, then it's all over the place. And, you know, you have to have the person that's willing to abide by your boundaries. You're not dictating that person. You're not putting this person in a box. You're just putting this person. Sometimes the woman is not able to see what you can see. There's a reason why you're a leader. There's a reason why you can see ways that this relationship can go if these things aren't in play. And then for women too, you know, you have to have the right man to abide these boundaries. You might not want to do these certain things because you might not value that man. You know what I'm saying? The right man, you're gonna get right. You're gonna certain men that you meet, you're gonna be willing to give up a lot of stuff because you understand, like, I don't know if I'm gonna find another man like this. You know, like, you know, there's a lot more great women than there is great men, sadly. And I feel that, you know, if you don't want to respect my boundaries, that's fine, but I don't need you here with me in this journey of my life. If you're not able to sacrifice these little things, or if every boundary that I have is too much for you, then I ain't the guy for you. Because I'm trying to create a peaceful, long-living, lovable, with right morals and principles relationship. So, and I might not be the guy for you then. That's fine. But go ahead and, you know, you can mess with those other guys. Like, you know, you be free, you know, but it might not be with a man like me that knows what he wants.
Exactly. And I think that's so important, like, knowing, like, what type of man you are, and knowing, okay, if, you know, she's not respecting these boundaries is perfectly fine. Like we can, part ways at the end of the day because you know what you want. And of course, like, it's certain things where it's like, okay, well, I know what I want, you know, hey, I don't want you to dress a certain way, yada, yada. Hey, I don't want you in the club every night. You know what I mean? I want us to build something, whatever it may be. Hey, I don't want to, I want to go to the club when my friends tell me to go to the club. I don't think it's that much of a big deal. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to be with me at the end of the day. If that's more important than you actually building a relationship with your person or you actually spending time with your person instead of going out and celebrating for nothing, I mean, then maybe it's best if you do your thing and I do mine, but if those boundaries are communicated and the person doesn't see the value in you, and you might be working a regular 9 to 5, and she feels, this isn't maybe she doesn't see it like this isn't $1 million man. This isn't a man that I see as has a lot of value. I'm not going to listen. Okay. Like you said, there's plenty of more great women than there is great men. So someone else might come along that puts you more at peace, that will do those things and not look at those things as a burden, so it's all about like, finding your person, and if you're a man that, there's nothing wrong with having a job. There's nothing wrong with, standing on morals. There's nothing wrong with wanting your woman to be modest. You're not, insecure. You're not a certain type of way because you know what you want and you know what, you're a guy. You know how other guys think. You feel what I'm saying? So, the things that you're saying are going to put you guys in the best position to succeed. Like you said, it's going to lead to unwanted problems. It's going to lead to a lot of things that are taking you away from you guys' journey and you guys' purpose. So I think it's very important to implement these boundaries. And, it might not be the first day or month that you guys talk, but, for me, for instance, I wait and see if that person that I'm pursuing, that woman that I'm pursuing is worth me telling you my boundaries. If you're moving in a certain way where it's like, okay, well, I see some things that I don't like and that's how you are as a person, I'm not going to try to mold you that early on. Like if I see you, you're talking to me, pursuing me, but you're pursuing another man, why am I going to sit there and tell you my boundaries and tell you how that wrong that is? That should be common sense. No, I'm just going to, you're not taking me serious in that moment. In my perception, you're not taking me serious and I'm going to move on. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and linger and tell you, okay, well, I want this, and that, like for you to get right. No, it's fine. I know that's not something that I want. I want someone who's going to take me serious from jump. You feel what I'm saying? So, that I think that's so critical. And, if like the woman is moving in a way that I'm like, I see a lot of potential in her. I see a lot of value in this person. Okay, hey, this is what I want. This is, what I expect. These are things that, I'm cool with. These are things I'm not cool with. And that's going to build you guys' relationship and you guys' bond together. It only gets weird when those things are communicated and they're played with in a way. So that kind of leads me into my next question is how should you move when your boundaries aren't respected in a relationship?
Yeah, I think this ties to the last question and this one too. I feel that, like as a man, when you're communicating your boundaries, you should welcome your woman testing it, like questioning it. Because, I feel that a lot of women had bad experiences with like a lot of men, right? And so they might view you as that because of the reflection of men that they dealt with. So you got to be prepared for the questioning. That's what I'm saying. It starts with you understanding, knowing what you want and the reason why these boundaries are being in place. Because the woman that you're communicating these boundaries with dealt with like some men that weren't worth it and were troubled, insecure. Like that's what I'm saying. There is a difference between insecure and preferences. I have preferences. I'm not insecure about nothing. I know who I am. I know where I'm trying to go. I know what I want in my woman. I know exactly what I need from my woman. And I just might not be the guy that you need at this time, you know? I know what I want. I'm not looking to fit in a woman's life. I'm looking for the woman to fit into my life because I'm trying to provide, nurture, protect, grow, develop my woman. It's not grooming. It's not, you can't throw labels like that. Like, there's no person that's perfect. So I'm not expecting some woman just to like fall to all the things that I want. I want her to question. I want that because then that means that she wants to know why, or maybe her friends or society or TV, social media, the men that she had in her past. Maybe she never had a good solid man that knew what he wanted. So sometimes it's like a shock to certain women that like, oh, he knows what he wants. You know, there's no if, and, or buts. There's no hypocritical thing. He understands that men and women are different, and he understands the dynamics of, sometimes I know a lot of women more than they know themselves, and it's because I understand like the psychology of it, and I educated myself on that, and I also learned from my experiences, and I also learned from other people's experiences. So like when it comes to like the boundaries, like you need to be very clear and understand why. You can't just tell somebody what to do and then you can't explain why. You can't get upset when you create a boundary and then they're questioning why. You should be very easy to say why. And if you don't, then maybe you should think about that boundary first before you just start initiating. But my bad. If you could ask that question one more time, the one that you said.
Oh, the question I had was, what happens when those boundaries aren't respected in a relationship? I know for me personally, when a boundary is set, let's just say, hey, you know, I think we should focus on our relationship and not focus on clubbing every night or doing such and such, or hey, say, okay, they're not happy with their situation. Say they're trying to afford to get a car. Your woman's trying to afford to get a car. Okay, babe, you know you need to work. You know you need to do this. Whoop, whoop. Okay, maybe cutting back on clubbing. You know, you club every weekend. You're spending money on bottles, maybe weed, whatever it may be. Babe, cut back, yada, yada, yada. And that person still decides to complain about those things, but still wants to go to the club every week. Now, I'm not saying with you. I'm saying without you. Go to the club every week, yada, yada, but complain about their situation. And that boundary, let's just say it's just like, you know, it's already put out there. And then on top of that, you're giving your social media and stuff out while you're out. Let's just say, for instance. So I feel in that situation, you already know, like, it might be a non-negotiable for your partner. It might be something that your partner's uncomfortable with, and you still play around with those lines. That means that person isn't important enough for you to stop those things. So in that sense, I feel like it's okay to, hey, communicate, hey, I don't think this is going to work. You know, this is a boundary that, you know, we've talked about. This is something that I was uncomfortable with going into it, and I communicated with you, and I feel like you didn't take me serious in, you know, in this situation. So I feel like we're not going to work. This lets me know that we're going to work. Mm-hmm. You know, and it doesn't need to be yelled or oh, F you, yada, yada, yada. You know, it doesn't need to be a bad breakup, but it's just like, you know, be an adult. Hey, you know, I thought I had time to think about this. You know, I don't think this is going to work because I communicated with this. And like you said earlier, maybe she didn't see the value and you're like, well, I can find another one of him. Or, you know, he's not paying my bills. What value does he have in my life? You know, and she moved how she moved. And I think you as a man should move how you want to move. And, you know, I don't think this is the woman that could fit into my life, and move on. So for you, how do you feel about that? And how do you think boundaries should be respected in a relationship?
Yeah, I believe it starts with like understanding like why these boundaries are established. But at the same time, too, it's like if that person isn't respecting those boundaries, this isn't the person for you. Like, you got to make a decision. That life is all about making quick decisions, quick choices. You have to understand that you can't move with this like scarcity mindset that this is the only woman that I'm gonna get, or man, like the way she looks or the way she makes me feel or the sex. Like, none of that is worth the headache, honestly. And even for women too, I feel like, you know, if that man isn't respecting your boundaries as well, and it's a respecting, but it comes with the understand. Your boundaries can't be a double standard. You know, men and women are different. The way a man views alike is different between a woman views alike. I know it's not popular, but when a man cheats and a woman cheats, it's completely different. We could try to act like we're equal and all that shit, but we're fucking not. Like, we're not the same. We don't think the same. We don't react the same. Especially not me. You know, I can't speak for those like men that are insecure, which I once was back then before, because I didn't really know myself. I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I'm in a different mind frame now, so I can't really speak for that. But like when it comes to like, I know what I want, I know what I need, and if you're not willing to fulfill that need, then, you know, we have to go our separate ways respectfully. Like I've done this too. I've said this to like women in my life that I've encountered, dated, or been with, is like, you know what, I'm not the man that you need. You need a man that's 24/7, that abides by your rules and stuff like that. That's not the world I'm in. Like where I'm trying to go, requires a certain woman to understand what it takes to be with a man like me, because this ain't no Romeo and Juliet. This ain't no Disneyland fairy tale. You know, like I'm trying to be working 23 hours out of 24 hours I have. You know, like I don't have time to have to constantly remind you of this path that we're in, because obviously as a man, I want to nurture, provide. I don't want no woman in my life that loves me for me and really is trying to help me and understands like what I'm trying to build. She don't deserve to work at all in my mind. You know, like once I get to that point, I don't want her to work at all. If anything, I want her to make my home and to follow my lead, because I do have the best interest for us. I see something that she don't see. And if you can't respect the boundaries, if you can't respect what I'm trying to build, and you're more caught up in what society tells you, that, oh, you don't live your life, you know, don't let no man dictate that. Like, look at these women though that are saying that. Look at your friends that are saying that. There's a reason why they're single. You know, there's a reason why life is miserable. They always complain that they can't find the right man, but you just might not be the right woman though. You know what I'm saying? You might be the type of woman that needs some cornball, you know, and I'm not that guy. So like, you're gonna have to choose that way. Like, but you can't, you know, I'm not the guy for you. You're not the woman for me either, respectfully. And like, I'm not here to judge, but like, you know, I got to keep it moving. I'm sorry, but you got to make a decision fast, like quickly. And you have to, I don't know, any type of red flag that is a principle flaw or like a moral flaw. And like, I gotta be honest, ain't no way I'm dating a woman that goes to the club all the time. And there's no way I'm dating a woman that smokes weed all the time. There's no way I'm dating a woman that drinks all the time. Like, you got some deeper issues that I'm sorry, but I can't help you with right now. I don't have time to deal with somebody like that. I understand not everybody is perfect, but I also understand that, you know, sometimes, you know, certain people are in a phase in their life, or they're being influenced from what they see and what they hear. So it's hard for them to see the reality of things. And I don't have no time to really invest that into any woman like that. You know, like, I need a woman that kind of has at least an idea of what she wants, or at least has good fundamental understanding, that is going to be hearing me in a way that is looking at me for the face value of what they see, not what they dealt with. So, you know, any person that is not respecting your boundaries, especially when it's like something very simple, you know, if it's already a headache and this person's just not getting it, you gotta move on. Like, there's so many great men that you could potentially find, and there's like a lot great women too. And so what you won't do and accept, somebody else will, that will bring me the peace that I need to be where I want to be, so that I could take care of the woman how I want. So like, making that decision early and faster and better. You don't have to tolerate disrespect. You can't tolerate that type of stuff. The moment you tolerate disrespect, the moment these floodgates open of you let that person know what they can get away with. It's kind of like, I mean, I explained it right there. Like, the moment you let somebody cross that boundary, there's no number of ways now that they can't cross. Like that just
Exactly.
opens everything, that you letting them do whatever they want, and yet it does bother you, but you're bottling it in because you're insecure with yourself. You don't know what you want. First off, you should not be in a relationship. Second, this is not the person to be with. Third, there's no reason to be with somebody because of the fear that you can't find somebody else. There's billions and millions of people, and with social media, like, it's a pro and a con. You can constantly try to find another person that can fit that. And so for me, like, there's no time to deal with somebody that might not have a respect for you and for your boundaries.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it any better. Even the things that I was gonna say, you took it right out of my mouth, bro.
Really?
Like, nah, for real. Like, you hit every point on the head, bro. Because like a lot of these things, you know, they lead to other things. Like you said, it opens the floodgates. You know, if you have 4 boundaries, and let's just say she plays around with 2 of them, and let's be honest, you don't take it serious, and you're not a man of your word and saying, hey, this is a non-negotiable for me. This will this will end us. And those things happen, and you're like, oh, well, we can work it out. Guess what? Those other boundaries are going to get played with, just because, you know, they're not going to take you as serious as you would want, right? And, you know, you have to move on. You know, it's why would you want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't take you serious, that doesn't value, that doesn't care about how you feel or their decisions on how it's going to make you feel? Like, oh, if I do this thing, it's going to make my partner feel like this. Like, it's simple. Like, move to the next thing. And then I think this is a great transition to our next topic, because when we're talking about this, and we're talking about, you know, things not working, okay, boundaries are being played with and moving on, like, you know, in our society, even now, it's looked upon like, dang, how dare he move on, or how dare she move on from me? Like, oh, like, they should gave me time to heal before this and this. Like, first of all, if you fucked up in a relationship, you have no room to talk. You know what I mean? Like, you cheated on somebody, you did somebody wrong. If they want to move on the next day, bro, like, that is their decision. Who are you to tell them when they should be able to get in another relationship or experience somebody else? Like, it has nothing to do with you. That's their life. But getting into our next topic, bro, and now we're on the topic of moving on and getting out of bad situations. When do you think? No. First of all, why do you think moving on fast has a bad rap in society?
I think it's just like these basic beliefs that a lot of like people have, like, oh, you shouldn't move on the next day or the next month or the next year, the next 10 years. Like, I think people are just like over dramatic. I think people don't realize, like, once you're done with this person, you're done. The moment, like, the past is now the past. I don't care if it was fucking yesterday. I don't care if it was like an hour ago. Like, once you move on, you move on. You should go ahead, go. You're trying to find somebody like that. That's usually, like, sometimes I believe is a purpose in life too, is like finding the right person. So this person was not it. What am I going to do? Sit here and wait because this person wants me to wait for the respect of he or her. I'm going to take my time. Yet this person might be already messing with somebody already while you're trying to be respectful. Like, respect yourself. You're not hurting this person. This person is not attached to you. You know, this is a person that you just shared an experience with in a relationship and it didn't work out. There is no timeline of when it's the right time to leave or to move on. I believe, like, this is something that, like, this is what happens when you value other people's opinions but yourself. You know, like, if you're a good person and you're trying to find that one, why waste any time? Every day is not promised. You could die tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? You could die. Like, you know, you just never know. So why would you sit there and wait because of how that other person's going to feel? You still care for that person if you do, and you wish them the best, and you wish them to find maybe the person that they need, and it wasn't you, and you weren't, and they weren't for you as well. So for me, it's kind of like this idea of, like, and I've been through that too. I've been through that, like, oh, you moved on too fast, but, like, what, according to you? Like, I don't care what you think, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, yeah, I care for you still as a person, but at the same time, like, our life is not connected no more. I'm an individual at the end of the day. Like, the only person I really care about of judgment is God. And if you ain't God, you ain't nothing to me. Like, I wish you the best. I hope you find somebody, but if I find somebody tomorrow, or if I'm searching, or if I be on a date and you see me, respect me in my time, respect me in my space. Like, we're no longer together. I know we share time. We may be, we slept together. We shared time and went to places, family, whatever. But, life moves on. You got to move on. I don't want to hold on to something that is not worth holding on to anymore. It's already been broken up. I think when you find the right person, I don't believe that you're going to regret the last person you were with. You learn from that lesson and you move on. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And, like how we were talking about earlier, bro, like your someone else's viewpoint on moving on. Like, oh, we were in a 2-year relationship. How dare he move on a week later? Like who are you to talk about his timing and him moving on? If he meets someone at the gym, going out, in his everyday life, at work, like, that's his business. You feel what I'm saying? Like you said, you never know. You never know. Something can happen, whatever it may be. But, that person, say you guys don't work out, that person can go meet the love of their life that next day. You never know. But it has nothing to do with you. When you choose not to pursue or keep that relationship going, that's on you. You need to go into focusing on yourself. Like, stop looking at the IG, stop looking at the stories, stop basing your happiness on what the other person is doing. Like, focus on what you're doing. Focus on what you can do for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, look at it wrong, or like, oh, like he's a piece of shit. He was dating this girl for 5 years and then he got a girlfriend a month later. Who cares? That is his business. That is her business. It does more damage to you looking at that stuff than actually, like, living your life. Like, focus on your credit. Focus on your pH balance. Focus on something other than someone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Focus on what you're doing. So if you're hyper focused on someone else's happiness, you can't be happy yourself. Mm-hmm. If you gotta get in shape, if you gotta lose weight, if you gotta get your mental right, you gotta get more money in your pocket. Like, do that and stop basing your happiness on what somebody else is doing. Because at the end of the day, if the opportunity presents itself, you're going to do the same thing. And if you don't, like, stop being like, oh, well, if I'm doing this, I'm going to wait 6 months. He should wait 6 months. Like you said, you guys aren't connected anymore. It should not matter.
Yeah. And just to add on too, like, if a person moves on, it doesn't mean that what you guys did have wasn't real. It was real, but it's not real no more. So you got to move on and move on with your life. The worst thing you want to do, like depression, sadness, is really based off like thinking of the past, overthinking right now, or thinking about in the future. So, like, you have to move on in life.
Yeah. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I want to kind of get into this last point before we close out, is, when you're in a relationship with someone, and let's just say, that person communicates, hey, I don't think this is something that I want to do. And, you guys break up or whatever it may be. And your person moves on the next day, the same day, doesn't matter. They move on. Should you be negatively affected by them moving on? Because for me personally, I feel once someone communicates that they don't see a future in you, or they don't see the value in you, or it might be a boundary. Hey, this boundary, doesn't sit right with me. I think I should be able to do this, or we shouldn't be together. Okay, well, we shouldn't be together. From that point forward, whatever that person does obviously it's going to affect you in a certain way. You're going to feel like, damn, you were just with this person. But it should be like, that bond is broken. That is not your woman. That is not your man anymore. That is not your person. Like, you got to move on. Focus on what you need to do in that moment to heal, or, whatever may be. Hey, I want to get more money. I want to find someone else. I want to, I want to get married. I want to find someone who's going to take me serious. I want to find someone who's going to, mesh with me. I want to find my person and do that, or whatever it may be. I feel like once that person communicates that they don't want to be with you, everything's out the window. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how they do it. Don't matter. I don't care if they're going, behind my back saying, oh, he's this, and that. Hey, things just didn't work out with us. That's perfectly fine. I'm not going to talk bad about who I was with or my partner. That speaks volume about my character. Hey, things didn't work out. She's a great person, great woman, but she wasn't my woman at the end of the day. And that's all it has to be. That you don't owe an explanation to anyone or trying to prove yourself that, oh, I was good in this relationship, or it wasn't my fault why we broke up. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, hey, things didn't work out, and you moving your however you want to move. But for you, how would you perceive that, or how does you think that would affect you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it starts with like not taking everything so personal. Like you can't attach yourself to people. You can't attach yourself to like ideas, even your own thoughts too much, because you gotta be able to elevate and grow. If you hold on to something, it holds you back. So I believe it starts like with not taking it personal. This is an individual person with their own parents, with their own ideologies, with their own pursuits, and for you to feel a certain way about people moving on, right? Like affecting you. Yeah. Like I feel like you have to realize that like we're people at the end of the day with the same type of like individual pursuits. And you have to allow people to make mistakes, be themselves, be opposite of what you agree with. And you have to understand this men and women dynamics. There's a complete difference. And like if you keep thinking of what society keeps trying to tell you of like men and women are equal, then you're conflicted with when a man does something different that you wouldn't do. And so like you have to remove this smoke in the mirror that causes you to not really be in reality. You see a lot of like relationships, they try to, with this whole double standard thing. It's like you have to realize like we're not the same. We're not the same. We might want certain things the same. We might believe and have opinions that might be similar, but we don't think the same. We're not the same strength. We're not the same strength and weaknesses. And it starts with understanding the human dynamic of the difference. So when you understand that people are gonna want different things, I might like chocolate cake, you might like vanilla, like you know what I'm saying, like, and like that doesn't mean I'm right or you're wrong. It just means like there's like preferences that we like, and there's certain things that we do. We might eat differently. I'm a left hand, you're right handed. Like you have to understand that, because then when you understand that, you then remove this attachment that's like personal. When somebody does something, you should never take that personal. Even though if you would have not done that, you have to understand that we're all different. We're all unique. We all value things differently. Something that I value so high, you might not value. I might value God. You might value pleasure and worshiping of celebrities. I don't. And so like you have to understand that in order to not take things personal, because when I stop talking to certain people or relationships end, I don't think it's petty, but I mean this is just the way that I do things. I'll block that person. Especially if I'm just trying to move on. Like, I don't really want to, I wish the best for that person. The worst happens, they call me, I'm willing to help to a certain extent, love from a distance, but I don't really want to, let's say if it does affect me, right? Let's say I do feel a certain way about it. I don't want to see it. So in order for me to not see it, I block them. Not block them for like life because I'm mad at them or whatever. No, it's just more like, I want to choose what I see on my social media. And if I'm the type of person that is sensitive to seeing them talking to somebody or moving on, then block them, not block them. And if they ask, I just don't want to see anything. I just don't want nothing to see with you. I want to focus on my job, my career, my family. It's important. I wish you the best, but I understand that, you're going to do what you want to do, just as I will do what I want to do. And if what I do bothers you, then maybe you shouldn't be stalking my social media. Maybe you shouldn't be on my page. Maybe you shouldn't be asking the people around me how I'm doing. Like, you need to move on. you know, I moved on. I'm trying to move on, and I don't want to let what you're doing in your life bother me. You know, especially if this is some person that you shared a lot of time with. Obviously, there is that like personal attachment to that person, because there was one moment where you believed you knew everything about this person. And sometimes, you know, you see them living their life and stuff like that can affect you and make you think that maybe you're not doing enough, or why does she or he get to do that and yet I'm over here still grieving and stuff like that. Like, that's your decision. Like, if you want to grieve, that's your decision. If you take it personal, like, you have to realize, like, these are decisions you're making. I'm not making you feel no way. And if I let that person affect me because of their decision to move on, that's my problem. That's not their problem. They've already moved on, you know, and if I feel a certain way about it, that's something I got to look in the mirror. I got to realize, you know, why am I holding on to this for so long? Why am I taking it so personal? You got to really look in the mirror and face reality. And like, maybe you're prioritizing things way more than you should. Maybe you're not aligning yourself with the importance of finding the right person. This person wasn't the right person, so you have to then try to find that right person by working on yourself and knowing what you want, or at least have an idea. Or for women, try to find that right man that has that right leadership, or as a man, you find that right woman that's willing to trust you in your leadership. And because I feel like that's what it's about. It's like finding the right person. And so this person clearly wasn't the right person if that person moved on. So why would you take that personal?
Exactly, man. Hey, you done dropped some gems this guy. Hey, you had dropped some gems this episode. For real. He was flowing.
I'm really flowing.
I mean, no, for real. Once again, hey, we appreciate all you guys for tapping in with us, man. We had a great conversation. You know, a lot of things we talked about are things that, you know, usually don't get talked about. I like going through all the experiences, like, I was learning on the fly. I don't know about you, but in these relationships where I was, you know, in positions where I was communicating boundaries, or I was, you know, getting into a point to where it was like, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work in a relationship, yada yada, you know, and getting to a certain point to where, and getting out of relationships and being like, okay, you know, I'm similar to you. Like, I block, you know, I lock in and focus on what I got going, you know, and, you know, I don't hold any standard to someone that is not my woman, you know. So, yeah, it's just much more peaceful for me. So, you know, I was glad we were able to talk about these topics, and, you expressing yourself and things that you've been through, and things, you know, that are right. You know, right is right and wrong is wrong, you know, and, you know, whether if you know, want to be with that person or not, you know, or you see a future in them or not, like, you know, you got to move and what's best for you at the end of the day, you know. And that's the thing about life. We all have decisions to make. And, you know, if someone, you know, is worth the, you know, sacrificing the club, sacrificing, you know, the things, the pleasures of, you know, your everyday life, I mean, you know, you should. And if not, you know, find someone who is going to conform to you. So, but we appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. Thank you so much for all the love you guys have shown. You know, I know one of our videos got 3 million views.
That's crazy.
3 million views. You know, all of our social medias is popping, you know, except the Twitter. Y'all go follow us on the Twitter.
For real.
Self-Revelations Podcast, Twitter. Please, y'all show love on there. And, you know, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next week on Self-Revelations Podcast.
Sheesh.